Welcome back to Blended Chaos, where all topics, families, blended families, and those supporting a blended family come into play and are unfiltered. Today, we're going to talk about why blended chaos. How did this come about? What was the idea and the why behind it? I'm Nikki, your host, and this all came about from my passion for family law since the age of 20. I actually was a child of divorce. My parents got divorced when I was in middle school and did it very well. My parents still to this day get along very well, have co parented well, they co grandparent well. They just really did it well. I got married young out of high school to a man who had been divorced. They did not do it well. 7 years later, we got divorced. We did not do it well. I then had a child with a man out of wedlock. We have never co parented well. And then I remarried, and actually, him and his ex wife did not co parent well. So, this entire dynamic that I grew up seeing co parenting done right, having a passion and desire for co parenting to happen well, and then living a life where it just wasn't working that way. No matter what we tried, no matter how we approached it, it wasn't working. High conflict, many court involvements over a lot of years. Fast forward, we decided, I actually went into being a legal assistant early. I was 20 years old when I became a legal assistant with a family law attorney, and kind of really liked the dynamic that was family law, the ups, the downs, the getting to know people, being part of their stories. Years later, I became a family law mediator and actually worked privately with families to help them stay out of the court system. Families that do not want court involvement, they want to kind of work together and make their own plans. They kind of agree that it needs to be court ordered so everybody's held responsible to it, but not a dynamic where a judge makes decisions for them. So I started doing that, working with families privately. And again, just always had a heart for families, family law, and what could maybe be good approaches to handling it. Blended chaos really came about in 2019 when we were given information from my husband's ex wife of 3+ years of conversations between the different dynamics of children in our home and just kind of their working together of what they were working to make chaotic and hectic and a little bit of just manipulation there. So fast forward, for years we talked about what does it look like to expose this? What does it look like to share with families? What does it look like to kind of get more insight of what other people are facing, what's going on? And we understand every state has different laws, every jurisdiction has different regulations. If I'm speaking to somebody, family law in California might look a lot different than family law in New York or Texas. We do understand that dynamic. As we stepped into creating what was going to be the artwork for this, I really had a heart behind the tree, right? The family tree. The thing about it is, blended families are now what I believe to be more of the normal. It's more of what you hear about, it's more of the normal scope. So, as we designed the artwork, I was really passionate about what that would look like with the design team, about roots, right? All of us come from roots, the root that developed a family tree, and then how that came up into a trunk that would then come into branches, leaves to represent children, other parties, new spouses. And you're going to see in that trunk that it is split, right? That divorce or that separation represents the breaking of that family tree. But then you're going to see new blooms come into that. You're going to see different colored leaves. You're going to see a little bit more of what a new spouse, new children, half children, stepchildren, those kind of things coming in. We just think it's a topic that is not talked about enough. How do people overcome the situations that are hard in a blended family? How do people work together? What are maybe some tricks? So, as we get into many episodes, many stories, many interviews, every family does it different. Something we talk a little bit about is a divorce is not the only thing that creates a split family, right? Or two households. Sometimes it's just a child out of wedlock. Sometimes it's an adoption. Sometimes it's a divorce after an adoption and what happens through all those trials and tribulations. So, Again, hold on tight. We have so much more to come on what blended families and blended chaos look like.